So welcome to the Watchers podcast where we talk about life. I'm LD and that is
80.
AD. Me and AD have been friends for years and we always have chats on the phone. And we thought it would be nice to share with you some of the conversations that we have. And today we want to talk about being able to express yourself freely. At times people think that expressing yourself it's an interesting thing when it comes to expressing yourself because from what we're going to talk about today, we're going to see whether it's worth always saying what you think. Is there time to leave it? Is there time to just let things go? So that's what we're going to discuss today, and the conversation will develop from there. Um,
Indeed.
I mean, Adrian, to start off, if I'm being honest with you, my background, I was raised in Ghana,
Yeah.
as you already know, and we've been raised to be respectful. You know, respect your elders, be respectful, be nice. Also, on the other side, we've been raised in such a way that if you're going through something, you have to be quiet about it because some of the things that I saw growing up, your parents always say to you, make sure you don't tell no one. It does not leave this house. And growing up that way, you tend to deal with things internally. You never express it. So one day you explode.
Yeah.
And moving to England, there's one thing that I noticed that was different from the UK to Ghana in the sense of when it comes to complaining, like you've got the right to complain,
Yeah.
which is something that you don't often, Africa is, you are raised in a strong manner, like to deal with life, get on with it. So the idea of complaining is not too common. You
Yeah.
just work hard and get on it. And then here I am in a country where you are told to say what you think.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say in the Western world, when it comes to what people think, they really say what they think.
Two ends of
There's
the spectrum.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's very interesting because even sometimes family members don't know what each other is up to, and it's nothing personal. It's just the norm. It's like, oh, I didn't know,
Yeah.
and you tend to find these things. But is it healthy? Is it healthy to keep things in? Because personally, I've kept things in before until when I recently got married, especially when I was dating my wife. She used to say to me, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah," but she could tell I'm not okay. There's something on my mind,
Yeah.
and I'm saying I'm okay. And that had to change because for the marriage to work, my communication skills needs to get better.
Yeah.
And with time, I've become better in expressing what I genuinely feel.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
become more balanced, basically.
yeah, you become more balanced about it. But
Yeah.
before I continue speaking any further, in your case, I mean, I might be wrong, but I've always known you to say how you feel,
Yeah.
or you like to talk about your struggles. You like to share it and be honest with people about it. But in general, in your time on this earth,
Yeah.
how has it been like for you when it comes to expressing yourself?
Um, kind of like you, I like have been in an environment where um you kind of hold things in. Like I was born here in England, as you know, but I left when I was 5 years old to live in Barbados. And Barbadian culture is kind of this. It's not like people don't complain or talk, but in terms of personal issues, especially with males, there's a culture of keeping it in. You know what I mean? Just deal with it. You know, is not manly to be emotional or say how you feel, right?
Yeah.
So and also sometimes it feels like you have to hold it in to survive. You know, it's like just to survive and stay strong and not to be seen as weak. You know, you gotta hold in those emotions and problems.
Exactly, because you could come across emotional. In fact, I can't. I know where you're coming from because if you're a man and you keep expressing yourself too much, you come across like okay, like you feel the vibe that
Yeah.
it's not really welcomed, is it?
Yeah. And you just
Yeah.
gotta suck that up,
Mm.
you know. So for me, I would say I can't remember much about my life at school, how it was, but in my teenage years, I was very expressive. I was very open to telling people how I felt, what I was going through, so on and so forth. Um, I would say that that changed when I started to express myself to people who would use that against you. So after a while, I started to clam up. I started to internalize and bottle stuff up, and that wasn't healthy, because psychologically, when it comes to mental health, it's not healthy. Like you will break at some point.
You will, you
Yeah,
will.
but
And sorry to interrupt you
yeah,
there. Because growing up, I realized there was instances in my life where I used to get upset or get irritated for no reason. Obviously, I wasn't thinking deep enough to
yeah,
know that it's because I've been keeping so much in, the body is feeling tense.
yeah. Anxiety, cortisol, stress, depression. You know, yeah, it's all from anger. It's all from bottling stuff up. Um, but I'd say like just like you, I became balanced after a while. So I went from being super expressive to not being expressive to it not really being healthy, and then coming at the other end being more balanced where I can be expressive at the right time with the right people. Because for me, I always feel like there should be a balance. I think the, but as I mentioned before, there's two ends of the spectrum. There's one end of the spectrum where you bottle things up all the time and you're not expressive. And what happens is that comes out in anger. We spoke in the last podcast about like kids on the road, you know, doing bad things and being aggressive. That is like a sign of people who cannot, you know, express themselves. They bottle because they probably feel like no one cares about them.
100%.
So they bottle everything up. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum is if you just everything is complain, 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 like then life is always like negative. Yeah. Then that also is not healthy because you're reinforcing it in your mind constantly. So both ends of the spectrum aren't healthy for your mental health.
It's true. So, I mean, it's interesting because I wanted to give you the flip side of the way where I was raised. So I did
Yeah.
mention earlier that in Ghana, you are raised to make sure you don't say what's going on at home, and you just get on with life. But on the other end as well, they do communicate well. So if you do have a problem, it's like, oh, I'm struggling. When it comes to struggles, we all share it.
Yeah.
It's how so even you could be sitting on the bus and someone will start sharing their life experience with you. So that's where you get a bit of balance.
Yeah.
So in the Western world, as much as people complain, they also miss a lot of the human touch because the way, especially when you live in the city in London, the lifestyle is busy, home, work, indoors.
Yeah.
Whereas with Ghana being an outdoor place, people tend to talk, they sit in a compound, they have a chat. So that's where it balances it a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's true.
Mm.
Same thing in the West Indies and Barbados. You have outside where guys will hang out, at the beach or on the block or just outside, and there will be some chatting and stuff like general chatting. So you can chat, but when it comes to deeply personal stuff, that's where people bottle stuff up.
Yeah.
But outside of it, I think now it's going better. And as time has gone on, people are more expressive because they're realizing that their friends and family are suffering from depression and anxiety, and some are committing suicide. And so I think we're more open to having people express themselves to us.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was more deal with it, however you feel, just bottle it up. But
100%.
I would say now is much better in terms of dealing with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because we do have relatives where you could tell they're acting really strangely, and not because they are abnormal or anything. It's just purely because they've kept so much in, and they are not sharing. And because they are not sharing, it's changed their personality,
Yeah.
and they begin to act in a certain pattern.
Yeah.
So just like people, instead of talking about things, will maybe go watch something immoral or
Yeah.
drink or do something that is not really healthy.
That's their
It all boils down to years of bottling up and not sharing.
coping mechanism.
Mm.
You know, that's your body going, okay, this is abnormal, not sharing. Or cortisol is shooting through the roof. Stress hormones are shooting through the roof. We need something to regulate this. And that's where, like you said, having a drink or doing something immoral or deemed immoral or smoking or even if it's gym, you know, or even comfort eating. Some people eat chocolate every day or ice cream, or some people would jog. It's like all those little things are like drugs to cope with whatever they're struggling with.
It's
So you know
true.
what? It's basically what they call it is self-medicating. You know, your brain is looking for something to sort. So it's it's like when you're thirsty, your brain says we need water. Yeah.
That's water.
Like you know, that look a bit yellow for water. That looks like
Yeah,
wine. But
yeah,
anyways, uh drinking on
yeah,
the podcast.
yeah.
But but
Yeah,
yes,
God.
that's a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's like it's self-medicating. Is if you're thirsty, your body goes, we need water.
Mm,
If you're stressed and anxious or whatever, your brain goes, we need something to regulate this. If you overheat, yeah, your body goes, we need something cold, you know, a glass of water or ice cream to regulate. It's the same thing with the brain. The brain stressing it goes, we need something. And if and the brain is smart because it stores information. So if the brain stored that one day you were stressed and you went and had a glass of wine or a couple of beers and you felt calm and mellow, the brain goes, oh, this thing, yeah, regulated regulated the chemicals. So we're gonna record that. So the next time this person feels stressed, we will send signals to him to go to that thing again.
yeah. Mm,
Problem is, as time goes on, the the coping mechanism becomes less and less effective,
yeah,
and the brain goes more, 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 and that's how people become addicts.
exactly. And isn't it interesting how, people are encouraged to go for therapy, see someone to, a counselor, or, my accent.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
so,
Counselor, but yeah, go on.
yeah,
That's my accent.
yeah, yeah.
Continue.
And the aim, because I've done a bit of a course, I did a level 2 course on,
Yeah, on
counseling.
on counseling. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And the aim is not for the person listening to you to do the counselor to be like solving your problems. The person is there so that you could let it all out.
yes,
And that's why people find benefits. It's very interesting that a lot of ways that people behave
yeah,
boils down to this simple fact:
yeah.
you've bottled things in.
Wait, can I add one point to what you said?
Go on.
Um, it's not only counselors don't only allow you to get things out;
Yeah,
they allow you to get things out without guilt, and that is one of the key points.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is one of the key points. It's a safe space.
Mm,
So I just wanted to point that out because a lot of people talk to friends and family and get things out. But what makes it worse for them is the guilt that's put upon them. Like, oh, what are you doing? Fix up, or something. And then we all know that in psychology, guilt feeds addiction. It doesn't help it whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I just thought to add that point, but continue.
No, that's true. Speaking with that girl, because they have to establish that this is, as you said, when you come here, you say what you want.
Yes.
And
without judgment.
exactly. I'm not your dad. I'm not your mom. I'm not your uncle.
Yeah.
I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
And beginning to feel that way the moment you start therapy, that's how. So basically, it's not just expressing yourself, really, is it? Because it looks like this subject can go so many ways. It's quite, you can go so many places with it. So it's not just about expressing yourself.
Yeah.
It's also about having that safe place to express yourself. Because some kids, I know some people who are, let's say, trying to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
But the parents, they haven't asked the parents yet, but they do know that if they say, oh, look, I want to talk to you, I think I like this person, they know it's going to cause a lot of headaches. So guess what they do? They keep it in.
Yeah.
And guess what? If you're going to keep it in, yeah, and if you're something you're going to keep it in, you could find yourself in a big trouble, because now the person that you're talking to, no one knows about it. You can't really bring the person home. So it's quite complex. So even in raising your own children as a family man or woman, you need to raise your children to know that they can freely express themselves. I mean, when I first came here, some of the way the kids were expressing themselves to their parents, I'm like, whoa, holy mackerel. Wow, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, we knew that in the West Indies or in Africa, if we did the same thing, yeah, we wouldn't live to see the next day.
Nah. Blackout.
Gone. Stars.
Yeah.
Birds.
Yeah. No, it's true, Adrian. So, and then it's like, oh, wow, that's healthy, because the parent has allowed the child to speak, but then the parents is not overreacting.
Yeah.
Which means in future, when it comes to things that's bothering the child, that's already registered, because he's got a pattern. I could tell dad. And I'm not saying just because the children express themselves, I'm not talking about it in a disrespectful way. Yeah. No, kids can be disrespectful sometimes. I'm talking about it like, oh, like this kid seems to be in a safe environment where they feel like they can express themselves.
Yes.
And the parent is not going to jump all the time.
Yes.
So the less jumping you do, the less, because I feel like when it comes to talking, it's a way of getting things out, and then your parents helping you to see it from another angle.
Yes.
So it's very, very interesting when it comes to expressing yourself.
It is. And very, very, very beneficial.
Exactly. So coming back to us, did you think when growing up in your family, you've been able to have that space to express yourself when you were growing up?
For me, not really. Because I spent a good chunk of my life with my mother, and that wasn't the kind of relationship where I could express myself. I think that's the kind of relationship that turned me into a people pleaser. We're always trying to impress or trying to get attention, but you don't get it because that person themselves is always trying to get attention for themselves. So it's like two people battling for attention. So it's been hard. And also, like, the males in my family, it wasn't very easy to be expressive. Yeah.
So it seems like we've both been in similar situations, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it comes to expressing ourselves.
Yeah.
So
what about you? Like,
I mean, I know I've mentioned it earlier from the get-go about how it was like, growing up and expressing ourselves. I also feel like maybe I'll say it's only recently that I feel like I've been able to be expressive even more because, you know,
Yeah.
you're also raised not to talk back to adults. And
Yeah.
so you can translate that into thinking, even if they are talking rubbish,
Yeah.
yeah, you just, you just get on with it.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's only recently that I've been able to say, you know what, I need to speak up.
As you get
Because,
older.
hmm, because the thing is, when you don't speak up and you're upset, they're not feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you are the one that is affected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And unfortunately, you cannot really hide how you feel. It always comes through in nonverbal communication, body language, facial expressions.
that's it.
And even through that, people will go, why are you miserable? What is wrong? So
Yeah,
you can't really win.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then even going back to how children should have a safe space to express themselves. And you know, sometimes some kids have not had the chance. They've been raised so strictly
Yeah.
and tightly that one day they just explode. And boy, when they explode, oh, oh boy, the
Yeah.
explosion is so bad that they become so bad that the parents is thinking, what happened?
Yeah. Volcano. And the irony is we live in a society, right? That let's say a parent did the complete opposite and let their child do whatever they wanted. And the child went crazy. We live in a society that would say, see, look at what the parents did. They were neglectful. The parent would be like, oh, what have I done? I was neglectful. But we never, or parents never look at themselves when they're on the other extreme of the spectrum. Because in their mind, they're doing everything right. In life, we know that excess is too much, and what's the opposite of excess?
S.
Lacking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
it's just as bad. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when parents like are super strict with their child, super strict, the child can't breathe, can't express himself, can't do anything. And when they explode and go crazy, the parent never says, "Oh man, maybe I was." The parent goes, "Where did I go wrong? You know, I did everything right." Well, no, you didn't. In your eyes, you felt like you did everything right, but you probably did as bad as a parent who did nothing at all. Because the only thing that would work in most instances is balance. So even if a kid in that situation goes crazy, the parents, the sins will still be put on the child. Like, I did everything for the child, but they decided to do this anyway. Ungrateful. Well,
Exactly.
you have to bear some brunt of the blame. You have to.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know but you have to first understand that you were being excessive. And I think a lot of people in those positions don't ever see it that way.
yeah.
They believe that if I'm excessive, then you should be good. And if you're not good, it's not because I was excessive, it's because you rejected, you know. And that's not how life works.
It's true.
It isn't.
It's true. It's true. And it's interesting you say that because I feel like communication, people hear it all the time. What does it make? You know, it seems like it's just a simple word,
Yeah.
and yet it's everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's
Communicate
everything.
is everything. So reason being is that if you are home as a parent and you are busy all the time, they can't talk. They can't talk. One thing I've noticed about communication is that when there's something on your mind and you want to get it out quickly and it gets turned away, you don't have the same enthusiasm to say it again next week.
Yeah.
The moment that it came to mind, it's like, oh, I wanted to tell you, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
It becomes too late. That's the weird thing about communication.
Yeah. Exactly. And even worse, we could probably delve deep into this. Even worse is that when it comes to communication, there's always somebody out there who's willing to listen, but for manipulative purposes. So if you have a child or someone who wants to express themselves and no one's listening, or you have like a kid that, you know, he's angry, he wants to express himself that he's angry, no one's listening, they just push him aside or punish him or, like, you know, do better, you know. There's always somebody that goes, ah, man, you know, I used to be angry like you. You know, I feel you, you know, come, you know, I'll listen. But that person doesn't really want to listen. They just know that if they're what that person needs at the time, they can then exploit that person.
Yeah.
You know, so that is why communication at a very young age is important, because we live in a very exploitative, manipulative world.
Yeah.
And people use those weaknesses to take advantage of people.
Exactly. It's mad. You know, it's funny because sometimes people have cheated on their spouses, or children having told their parents the things they've been up to,
Yeah.
purely because there's someone else who listens better.
Yeah.
And for women, one thing that attracts them when it comes to cheating on their husband
Yeah.
is their attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the word attention, and apart from attention as in seeing, they seem to listen,
Yeah.
become emotionally attached.
Yes. Yes.
That's communication in your environment, whether you are in a relationship, whether you're a parent, should be something that is already at home,
Yeah.
so that they don't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, to confide in someone who might take advantage. So it's like it needs to be open.
Yes.
To be fair, it's not easy sometimes to be the listener because we are used to jumping in.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we used to, a lot of people are in conversations, they're not listening to hear, they're listening to respond. And everybody is guilty of that.
100%.
You know?
Sometimes it's funny. Look, even I'm doing it now.
Yeah. And I did it just 2 seconds before. We'll continue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was reading this book, which is called Never Split the Difference.
I got to read that book. I've got it, but I haven't read it yet.
Fantastic
Yeah.
book. Yes. So that book says anytime you're talking to someone, there are 4 people in a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting statement. What does he mean by that? He means that whilst you're speaking, my second person, which is my mind, is thinking of something. And whilst you are speaking, your mind is thinking of other things. And then it's like there's so many people involved in just a one-to-one conversation.
Yes.
Because as you're speaking, I'm already thinking of the answer. So I've already lost 70% probably.
Yes.
Of what you said, you know, is so.
Or if you're talking, I have a point that I want to make, and I'm just queuing my brain up. My brain's just queuing up for the time to say my point, to give my point. You know, so you're talking, or somebody could be talking, and you're kind of listening, but your brain is like, okay, is it time for me to jump in on my point? Is it time? So you're not really fully focusing.
Exactly. And that's the thing with communicating, isn't it? Because we get uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah.
Don't we? We don't like it.
We do not.
But then again, going back to the book, it says when you allow room for silence, it's a bit more natural. It's not rushed.
Yeah.
It's just like you could speak whenever.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we see silence as something is lacking.
Yes.
Oh, silence could also mean that the person is thinking.
Yeah.
Thinking about what you've just said to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So
reflecting.
Silence, it should not always be portrayed as awkward. No.
Yeah. It's true.
So go on.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
That's one side of the coin. Here's the other side of the coin. Is there any situation where communication could be toxic?
Oh, AD, man. Always playing devil's advocate. Yes. Well, that's a very interesting question.
Because before you go on,
Why did he interrupt me?
Because I can.
No,
Nah,
yeah, go on.
it's my name on anyway. So like, so for instance, example like, I missed my point. For example, we're talking about communicating, yeah, and we like to listen, right? But is there a situation where being good listeners could become toxic when it comes to communication?
Okay. What you mean being on the other end as listening, or you the one talking?
You're the one listening.
Oh, yes, yes, it can be. It can be. The reason why I say yes is that it could get to a point it becomes draining. I've had situations where I've been there for people. I've listened. Um, to be specifically, yeah, in a relationship where I've listened. It wasn't a relationship first, but it developed from me listening to the person, and it developed into a relationship. But after a while, you listen and you're like, why don't you try this? And they don't try. I mean, you're not here to judge because your whole character is not to judge. Then you'd be like, well, why don't you do this? And then years pass and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on now? Because I'm feeling drained. I've done my best to help this person. And we're still talking about the same thing 3 years ago. And it's
Yeah.
nothing to do with not being me being a good listener.
Yeah.
I have listened, I have heard you, I have understood
Yeah.
where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And yet, it's yes. That I mean, I know it's a bit vague, but I want you to add to that so we get a picture.
No, I get fully what you're saying because I've been in the exact same situation quite a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I asked is it all comes down to balance again. Yeah. So I've been in the same situation as you where if anybody deems you a good listener, there's some situations where you can become their coping mechanism. And then you become their drug, you become their Coca-Cola, you become their cigarettes, you become their alcohol. And the problem with addiction is sometimes you don't really want to solve the problem as long as you have the addiction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like in yours, like what you said, situations like that where you would be listening, and after a while it comes to a point where you're like, okay, why don't you try this or that? And that doesn't seem to work. It's because you become the addiction, the crutch. Yeah. And that's where it comes to balance, where there's nothing wrong with people wanting to express themselves and stuff, but you got to find a balance where you have to be in a position to want to do something. So you could see there could be someone who's like, okay, life kind of sucks. When I go out and get a pint, I feel better. Yeah. But at the same time, they might go for a pint on Friday, but then they're like, all right, you know what? Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to sit down and see how I can fix this situation. If it works for them and life gets better, they might not depend on the pint as time goes on. But then you have on the other side, somebody goes, life sucks. Have a pint. Oh, I feel better. So every day they're having a pint. Every day. Life sucks. Pint. Life sucks. Pint. And then you answer like, oh, so why didn't you do this? Pint. So that's why I asked the question, because it's two ends of the spectrum.
100%. And in my experience, I realized, I mean, I was advised before by friends saying, you do realize that this is how this person has always been. I didn't see it.
Same. You know what? That's another story, but continue.
Yeah, so I didn't see it. It took me ages. And I'm like, wow, I've been taken for a ride because now my listening skills is being manipulated.
Yeah.
Mm.
But let's
express. Yeah, I'm talking about it. Express yourself because remember, this is.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you don't want to talk about certain things.
No, I'm cool. I was gonna ask a question. Let's get deep into that. You just made a point, yeah? Because I've been in the exact same position as you, so we're kind of similar in this, and there's a common denominator. So I'm gonna get to it. I've been in a situation where people have told me straight up, dude, this person is XYZ, yeah? this is how they are. But you go, I don't see it, and you don't listen. And then you find yourself a husk, all drained out, face sucked in, no energy. So my question for you, going deep, and this is for both of us. Why do you think you don't listen? What is it about you that prevents you from listening?
To the advice people giving me about the person.
Yes. And what is it that keeps you, as much as it can be draining, we have to bear some fault because we did go back sometimes. So what is it about us that made us ignore what people said and go back to it?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of factors.
You good with that? You good with that? Yeah, you good at that question?
Yeah, I'm good. Adrian,
cool.
Listen, don't.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you continue.
Yeah. So basically, it starts with the foundation.
Yeah.
I believe that I'm quite a kind person. I like to help people out. So that is one of my qualities. So it starts with that. There's a lot of factors, Adrian, because the question you've just asked hasn't got one answer.
It doesn't.
I have to give you the background before I can get to it. But it's, if I'm being honest with you, it's the kindness of it. Also, it kind of gets addictive in the sense of like, okay, it's weird. It's weird because you become a listener. You become, yes, you do get something out of helping people, but then maybe there's also a selfish side, which is like, okay, yeah, she's always got a problem. So I don't know. It's so, but to even take it further, I mean, I'm okay with the question, but I feel like if I say too much, I will be
incriminating yourself and other people.
Yes, I don't want to go too deep, but just to summarize it for myself personally.
Yeah, do your thing.
Sometimes I genuinely did not see it.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes I saw it.
Yeah.
Because we have that same routine talking on constantly.
Yeah.
You get used to just talking to them and then you become, I mean, my answer will be vague for now.
Yeah.
Let's see how things go. I'll let you say what you think first. Because you know what I'm saying.
I know. My theory, you could tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's not even a theory. It's not my theory. It's stuff that's
experienced.
But it's what experience, and it's stuff that's out there already. It's known. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it stems from, as kids. Remember I mentioned earlier, living with my parents, you're always trying to get attention and you become a people pleaser. So your experience as a child molds how you are. Mm-hmm. So I think those experiences as children would kind of molded us and some people to always want to be there. It becomes an addiction. So that becomes our coping mechanism. Because everybody is trying to cope with something. Yeah. Be it selfish people, narcissists, or codependent people. Everybody's dealing with something in their own way, be it selfish or selfless. Yeah. And even the selfless way is selfish. So it's kind of weird. So it's a case of you having that need. You need a need filled as well. You want to be wanted and to be depended on. Everybody does.
100%. Yeah? And everybody. We like that feeling. We like that feeling that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But everything in excess makes you sick. Anything in excess makes you sick. Makes you tired, makes you sick, whatever. So when you do get that attention in excess, it makes you sick. It makes you tired. It drains you. But you're already addicted to it because you've been lacking for so long. Not you, I'm talking about people in general. Me, you, people like you would have been lacking for so long that you get addicted to it. And you might walk away and go, oh, this is so draining, it's so tiring. And then you sit down alone and your brain goes, ah, oh, snap, I'm alone. Ah, I'm stressed. Brain, how do we fix this? Well, you felt better when you were over there. And this part of your brain is like, but that makes you tired. And that part of the brain goes, it doesn't matter. We need it now. We need it to survive. And then you go back. And that's how toxic loops happen. So I would say maybe for your situation, I'm speaking for my situation. I don't know if that. Yeah. So when it comes to communication, I think it comes down to also looking at oneself, because we can get addicted to communication. That is also that you are a nice person and I'm a nice person. There are people out there that are nice. But that can also go against us or go against people. You know, there's a guy that I watch called Richard Grannon on YouTube. And he said, what did he say? Being nice is not a philosophy. Because some people think that being nice should be a way of living. And it should be a principle. A principle in life should be, you should be nice in general, but it should not encompass everything about you, because what happens then is that if everything about your life is being nice, you will be taken advantage of, drained, used, manipulated.
To the max. To the max.
Yes, you have to have some kind of like steel to you.
100%. And knowing when to say no, does not mean you're not nice.
Exactly. It means you're being nice to yourself. You see, being too nice means being nice at the expense of yourself. So you're nice to everything and everyone around you, but it's at the expense of yourself. You're not nice to yourself. So you become a martyr. I'm going to sacrifice myself to be nice for everything and everybody.
Yeah.
That's not how life should be. You should be nice for yourself and nice for people. And if being nice to someone means you have to sacrifice yourself, then you have to be kind to yourself. And that's where no comes into the picture. You know? So like you said, saying no is not inherently bad. Sometimes saying no is to protect yourself and to be nice to yourself and to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Another thing that we wanted to touch on was saying what you think, because we've spoken about it's good to talk.
Yeah.
But do you always have to say what you think?
You got to pick your battles. Sometimes people say what they think all the time at the expense of other people's feelings, the damage it can do. Sometimes you have to reel it in. Again, it comes down to balance. Picking your battles. When to say something, think about it. Is this going to cause harm? Is this going to hurt somebody? And hey, just because it's going to hurt somebody doesn't mean you don't say it. Because when you go to surgery, surgery hurts. You know, to fix something, it has to hurt. If you got a broken bone, they're going to put it back in place. It's going to hurt. You know, but I mean, like, intentionally, like, what you're saying, is it intentional in its yeah. So I don't think as a kid I don't think you shouldn't always say what you think. You got to think about it.
You spoke about the balance of it as well.
Yeah.
And so I mean, as I said earlier, we've touched on it very well. Say what you think, the advantages of communicating, relationship with your children. But then on the other side, is it always beneficial to say everything that you think?
No. So let's say with kids, yeah. Let's say your kid is drawing something, right? And let's say it's not the greatest. As a parent, would you look at your kid and go, "Hey, son, that sucks"? You know, I mean, maybe it does. Maybe it does. But are you gonna go, yo, that sucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, like so as a parent, if you're watching your kid draw something and it's not great, you're not gonna look at the kid and go, hey son, that sucks. Yeah. It could suck, it might suck, yeah. But what you're gonna try to tailor it. You're gonna be like, oh, you're drawing. Oh, that's cool. What does it ask questions? So go challenge yourself. Do you think you could, do a better version? Show me if you could. You know what I'm saying? Like in a way where it's more like a challenge, is like a you acknowledge the child and the drawing, and you go, oh, do something. Let me see you do something different. In fact, I would do it with you. Let's do a little challenge. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that for me. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't always have to say what you think, but then I guess you could also say what you think, but in a different manner.
Tactful, in a more tactful,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So you could still get a point across.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Boom, done. And I think that's where people start thinking, oh, this person is a bit rude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of maybe saying to someone, that food doesn't taste great.
Yeah.
You could say, do you think there's something lacking in sauce? And make it a bit of a discussion, like, oh yeah, I think you just, you don't have to always be too direct either.
Yeah.
Right? So as much as communication is important, sometimes you need to think of the feelings of others.
And not only that, with your point, it will be even better to start with, thanks for this.
That's it.
And then have the discussion, acknowledgement, and then, yeah.
Because I do know some people in my life, people are like, oh, they're just a bit too harsh.
Yeah.
Sometimes delivering information, you could be delivering it to a person at a time where they don't feel great.
Yes.
And you need to be careful what you say, as much as. So for instance, if one of my friends has called me and they're feeling down,
yeah,
they're dealing with a breakup, and I feel like, you know what, a lot of the things that you did not help the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're calling me at a time where they're really feeling down about the situation,
yeah,
I will have to put that in a different way.
Yeah.
So you put it in a different way. Maybe you could say to them, this situation has made you learn a lot, isn't it? Instead of saying, well, look what you've done, because maybe in a relationship, he was not treating the person well.
Yeah.
Not communicating well, ignoring her. And I'm like, well, we can all learn. And then, just make it a little bit more and get the point across, but it doesn't always have to be direct.
Yes, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. It has to be delivered in an appealing way.
Yes. Yeah. No, just in a what was the word? Understanding and caring way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Understanding and caring way. And because everyone is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people, depending on how well you know them, how you could deliver. And say no. Some people, you'd be like, yeah, sometimes people might see it as like, oh, why are you beating around the bush? It's sometimes you're not beating around the bush. You have to deliver it a certain way, so you draw them out so they get the point. You don't always have to rush it.
And like you said, that is, everybody's different. And that is your personal understanding of the people you're talking to.
That's it.
Somebody from the outside, they won't know that person. They'll be like, why are you wasting time? It's like, well, I know this person. I know how, like you said, to draw them up. So there's the understanding of people to know how to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even as much as expressing yourself, communication in itself is a skill.
It is.
It's a skill that you have to learn how to develop. Even listening is a skill.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the podcast, a therapist goes to learn a course on just how to listen.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Most part of the course is how you could help the other person. It's not really about you.
Yeah.
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 So it's a skill in itself.
It's true. It's true. But here's the thing, even another topic when it comes to listening, we touched on it before. What therapists also have to learn is boundaries as well.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on. Yeah.
Which is what we lacked and which some people lack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Adrian, sorry, now I can finally speak a bit more because you mentioned the word boundary. And I think that will answer a question you asked me earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's not a training that everyone gets, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know what boundary meant.
We had you learn from conversations with me, with friends, from videos, because sometimes I didn't have a clue either.
Exactly. And I've helped certain people in my life and they're like, why are you still, they're going to waste your time. They're manipulating you, you're listening and you think they're not listening. They're just using your time and wasting your time.
Yes.
I see they understand boundaries.
Yes.
At that point, I didn't. I'm like, what are you on about? Like, why is everyone so impatient?
Yeah.
But then after years of dealing with it, I realized,
yeah.
I did not set boundaries. I just.
Yeah.
And that's still part of communication. You have to communicate your boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
to yourself first, and then to whoever else. And the funny thing about that, I was talking before about the brain trying to protect you, or the brain trying to protect the person by self-medicating or whatnot, right? When you start to put boundaries down, that's your brain going, okay, this is too much. If you're not going to do it, I will.
Yeah.
No. Boundary. Yeah. No. Boundaries. No. Because it all comes down to the brain's survival to protect itself.
100%. And sometimes the human body is very interesting because it knows its limitation. It's just that we do not listen to it. As simple as when you're tired, the body says, you need to go to bed now.
Yeah.
You should be stopping now. You're overdoing it.
Yeah.
The body has got its natural boundaries.
Yes.
And yet, we don't use our common sense to say, hey. And it's the same with dealing with people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
No. I was listening to you.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the brain works separately from the person sometimes.
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, you're talking about boundaries. Like, you didn't know about boundaries.
No.
But subconsciously, your brain would have been telling you, because your brain would be telling you, I'm tired. But you don't know what that means. You don't know what that means. So you just keep pushing through.
Exactly.
It's only when a friend or a video or a book or something gives you the answer, and then the brain is like, it took this long?
Yeah.
Finally.
Exactly. But you subconsciously, you probably knew you should have, Yeah. And it's interesting because it's been the same way in my business. So we're speaking about how we've not been great at setting boundaries in the past, and we're still learning and we're getting better at it. And it can show in all other areas of your life.
Yeah.
Not just relationship, not just friendships, even in business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, for instance, you don't say what your boundaries are. You go price a job and you say, boom, this is what, and this is another thing about communicating, expressing yourself. You say what you dare to do.
Yeah.
Specific. Boom, boom, boom will cost this. Any other is another price.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have learned lessons where I've gone onto a job, given a price. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not set the boundary that I'm here to do this. Because I've been in circumstances where I'm doing a job and they're like, oh, whilst you are here, you do this little extra.
Yeah.
And because I have not set boundaries from the get-go and said, listen, anything else apart from what we've discussed is extra, I end up doing it and they are more happier than I am. And I go home angry.
Yes. Or even on the spot itself, when somebody says, what do you do a bit extra? And your brain goes, but that's going to cost extra. But then the other part of your brain goes, I don't want to be an inconvenience. I don't want to, I don't want to upset the person, or I don't want to make them feel like it's too expensive. So I'll do it, you know, and then you do it. And like you said, afterwards, you're angry with yourself because when you get the money in your hand, it doesn't match the work that you. Yes.
Exactly. You know, when we first came here, my mom used to say, oh, wow, like British people, they know how to say no. Like they just say no.
Yeah.
Because in Ghana, I'll be like, You know, it's like, can you do this for me? Well, okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's how all Ghanaians are, but I'm just saying generally because of the kindness and how nice people are, sometimes they are not really saying what they should be saying.
Yeah, it's true.
And they're keeping it in. So,
it's true.
And this is the interesting thing. And because of our nature, we sometimes translate no as you're not being nice.
Yeah.
You're thinking, he said no. There was a point I realized something just dropped me and I realized, I can say no.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But in the beginning, it was very hard, right? It felt so, and the thing is, once people understand who you are as a person and they hear you say no, they know that's not you. So then they will try to test it. They'd be like, please, I really need, and then if you stand firm and you say no, it's like, then they try another option, guilt. Why are you being like this? I thought better of you. You're much better than that. And what happens is if it's the first time, you will break.
Yeah.
You will go, okay. But as time goes on and that continues to happen, your boundaries get stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
Where you just go, no, and no. Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you later. Toodaloo.
Juices. It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah. And even though we're having this conversation now, we're not saying that we've become experts at it.
Of course not.
At it. I mean, we're still learning the art of being nice to yourself too.
Exactly.
But being nice to yourself requires communication.
Yeah.
No, I can't do today. I'm exhausted. No, thank you. I'd love to come. I know you want me there, but I'm sorry.
Yes.
I have to look after myself. So it's that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yes.
And
there's a go on.
Go. No. Go on, speak. You speak.
You're too kind, sir. You're too communicate. Yes. It's true. Yeah. Let's follow our own advice. Yeah. Like I would say another reason for us being kind to ourselves is the realization that the world is full of manipulative people. And once you realize that the world, not everybody, of course, but the law of attraction is if you are a nice, understanding, caring person who listens, who is codependent, you will attract manipulative people who would drain you, who would try to twist your mind, twist your reality, and manipulate you to do what they want. And sometimes in life, it's hard to say no or to not be nice because the kind of people we are, we like to see the good in everybody. And there is good in everybody, yeah? But sometimes we forget that everybody has a good side and a dark side, and we don't know which one is dominant. So we like to see everybody as, everybody needs help. Everybody, has good and bad. Everybody, there's good in everyone. But we reach the level of saying no when we realize going through life, the people that we meet on jobs, in relationships, when we realize that they're manipulative, that they're narcissistic, that they use you, that they gaslight you, you know, once you understand that and you see it and you know what it is, it's so much easier for you to build even higher boundaries and for you to say no with ease. And I think with experience of coming across these types of people and seeing who they are and fully understanding people and as a whole, it makes it easier to be that person that's kinder to yourself. Because you will sacrifice yourself for somebody that you know is genuine and kind and nice. If you came across somebody that needed help and you knew they were nice, kind, genuine, and had your best interest at heart, you will sacrifice yourself and you will have no problem with it. And that'd be good because you know that person will get up and sacrifice themselves for you. Because they're like, oh, Eldad did this for me. I'm going to do this for Eldad, right? But you become harder in a good way when you come across a lot of people in life that you sacrifice yourself for and they run and take it and go, this is nice. I want more. Oh, you're not giving? Let me manipulate you. You know what I mean? Or let me make you question yourself. Oh, I thought you were a good guy. I thought you were a good person. And then that's attacking up the part of you that doesn't want to be a bad person, doesn't want people to see you as a bad person. So you go, oh, I'm not a bad person. I'll do it. You see what I'm saying? But once you finally see it for what it is, you can go, no, I'm going to be kind to myself. No, you know,
No.
no, sir. No, ma'am. You know. So yeah, that's another aspect of that's another reason why it's easier to have stronger boundaries.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Now, this is a question I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you could be in a situation where so much bad information has been spread about you.
Yeah.
But if we're being practical, you cannot go around
Yeah.
defending your name.
Yeah.
What do you do in a situation like that? Because on one hand, here you are, and this thing happen in family a lot. You know, it's like a family member can call and say, "Oh, look, this is how this person is behaving." Then your uncle will tell your auntie. Then it's like, "Yeah, this is how they're behaving," and then your name is being destroyed.
Yeah.
How do you have to communicate that? Do you have to? How do you deal with it? Do you have to go around telling everyone?
No. The thing is, before you even get to the answer, you got to ask yourself the question: if I'm a nice person and my name is being destroyed, why is that? And the answer is the people who manipulate and abuse, once you stop, once you break free of their spell, then they become scared that they will be revealed for who they are. So they have to kill your character first.
Yeah.
So that everybody looks at them as, oh, the victim. Continue looking at them as a victim.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you try to defend that, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do.
No.
It comes down to people knowing who you are. The people who know who you are will know who you are. Yeah. You can't, somebody's going to be fooled. Yeah. But no, you can't go around trying to defend yourself because what's going to happen is that person has already done the damage. They've gone out there first. Yeah. So you're already in a losing position.
Yeah.
You know, it's a losing battle. You know. So all you can do is just keep doing you. Eventually, people that are trying to put disrespect on your name, yeah, it's gonna blow up in their faces. It's gonna come back to them. It never works out. But let them do what they have to do. You know, what do you think? Do you think it is?
Yeah, because I agree with you because it gets to a point where there's nothing you could do about it. So I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But when it does come around, people come and talk to you and they're like, oh, all this time, this is how I thought you were.
Yeah.
This is how I thought your behavior was like. And you're
Yeah.
like, no, when you tell them about who you really are, they realize that what's been said about you is lies.
Yeah.
Right? It's only when the opportunity comes for them to talk to you about it that it becomes clear.
Yeah.
Mm.
How many situations have we been in life in that situation ourselves where there would be someone that you've never spoken to, yeah, never hung out with, and the people around you go, ooh, watch out for that person, you know, and then you speak to them and you're like, well, seems to be a nice person.
Yeah,
And 5 years pass and you're the best of friends.
yeah,
And you're like, huh, what's going on? You know?
exactly, exactly. So,
Yeah,
it's one of those situations where you, as the listener, if someone is spreading falsehood
yeah,
because about someone else, you don't have to always take anything on board all the time either.
yeah,
You need to say to them, well, what made them act that way? So it's a very interesting position to be in, even with friends. If I talk to you and I said, but then at least the friendship that we have, you could be honest and say, no, you shouldn't have done that,
yeah,
isn't it? So sometimes the people who tend to take on what people have said, so the people who listen to every negative thing that's said about someone, what are they like as a person? Are they reasonable? Because if you constantly have someone coming to talk to you about someone in a negative way, always,
yeah.
always, with no other side of the story, you need to ask yourself questions too.
You
In
do.
fact, if they are telling you stuff and say, look, I must admit what I did here wasn't right, then you
There's
could work it out.
there's balance. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because I've had people in my life I've listened to, been on the phone 2 hours, but then after some years, and the key word is years, I'm like, wait a minute, this person doesn't seem to feel like they're the problem.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's always someone else.
And it's those people that will always have something negative to say about everybody
Exactly.
because in their eyes, like you said, they're not the problem.
No.
And going that circles all the way back to the beginning when we were talking about parents who are too strict, where when their kid go off the rails, they don't say, oh man, maybe I did something wrong. They think, no, I didn't do anything wrong. That kid just doesn't appreciate XYZ, because in their eyes, they're perfect. Everything they did was perfect. No scrutiny. So it circles back to that as well.
It's true.
But it's always good, right? As people, because I always say, right, we have been victims of some rubbish in life, but we've also been to blame for stuff in life.
100%. So as much as we could look at it from the other way, it's the way we dealt with things that hasn't helped us.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And sometimes we've been selfish because we've wanted something too.
100%,
You know,
100%.
yeah,
And knowing when to set the boundaries, you knew, but you ignored it.
yeah,
This is an interesting thing because I've had these kind of conversations with you before where I've
yeah,
said to you, Adrian, you see the signs.
yeah,
You are seeing the signs, but you are doing something else. Like in
yeah,
the sense, and I've seen the signs before. You're like, funny enough, even the situations where you said to me, I didn't feel right
yeah,
at this, and then you still go along with it.
yeah.
And who is to blame? You, sir.
Me, sir. Me,
Yeah,
sir. For sure.
yeah,
Because here's the fundamental. The fundamental is as much as you say, oh, this person's doing this to me, or let's say it's a relationship or a job or whatever, right? You can sit and go, you can be half right by saying this person is taking advantage because they are. Yeah. This person is manipulating because they are. This person is taking me for granted because they are. Yeah. And that could all be correct. But what's also correct is you subconsciously know this, but because you want attention, love, affection, um, validation, to be seen, whatever, yeah, you ignore the signs because in your mind says, well, subconscious says, if I keep doing this and keep giving, this person that I clearly know is taking the mick, yeah, will change at some point. So when somebody comes to you and tells you, listen, pull yourself out of that situation, you know deep down that they're right.
100%.
But you also know deep down that you want to make the decision to continue going there.
Yeah.
Because you're feeding. Here's the thing, right? As much as those type of people feed off of people's kindness, kind people feed off of their attention too.
100%.
You know, and both are.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah.
And both are making excuses to continue the feeding process.
100%.
You know, it's just that one party is going about it in the most selfish, damaging, and unempathetic way, and the other person is doing it in a very empathetic, kind, naive way. It's the only difference. It's the same coin, two different sides. One is shinier, one is a bit dull, but it's the same coin. So in everything in life, right? Any problems, be it work, relationships, at some point, if you see a specific pattern happening over and over, you have to say to yourself, maybe I'm the common denominator, be it for better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not asking those questions, you will be in the same position forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. I agree with you there. And yeah, I do agree because I wanted to add to it, but because I was listening so much,
Yeah.
I forgot what I was meant to say now.
The art of listening.
The art of listening is not about you, is it? Yeah. So, yeah, you can't, and I think the problem we can have as well is we think we can help everyone. And that's a responsibility we put on us. I think, it's true that there's happiness in helping people. You get something out of it from it, but you begin to think that yes, but sometimes you can't.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think because you've been able to help someone before, maybe you think you could help the next person. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Yeah. And sometimes helping someone, just to make it clear, doesn't mean that the person changes and then everything is fine. It's the steps that they are taking. If they are taking steps to help themselves, it makes the conversation more worthwhile.
Yes.
So, so let's say someone's addicted to alcohol and he's like, oh, look, I used to drink, and it's like, good. I could still be on this journey with you.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to get into that one yet, but
yeah, that's for
that's another subject.
Yeah. You ready to run somewhere. But yeah. I'm gonna add one little point to that and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
One little point to that is another reason why you can't help everyone is that, again, from a previous point, everyone is different and there are different people out there. There are kind people, desperate people, manipulative people. And if you try to help manipulative people, it's like the equivalent of somebody who's out of work and you give them £50 a week until they get on their feet. Yeah? So let's say the £50 is communication, listening, talking. But that person goes, oh, £50 for free. Okay, that's all I want. And I'm going to manipulate you to see if I could get £100.
Yes.
Now, oh, it's not enough and I'm still struggling. And then the next month, let me see if I could get £150. Let me see if I could get 200. They're not even looking for jobs, So once you understand that there are all these different variables and peoples out there, you will say to yourself, it is impossible to help everyone. And I'm going to leave it there.
Oh. So we're going to leave it here. If you've listened to this, we hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And please feel free to subscribe to our channel.
Like,
subscribe.
share as well.
share, notification button.
Notification button. It's somewhere down here, somewhere.
Exactly.
There'll be
Exactly.
a video here or here, like click on either of
Or there.
those or
Yeah.
there. I don't know. Wherever you see a video, just click. Yeah.
Yeah. So feel free, man. Subscribe so we can make money.
Exactly. No.
Yeah.
Shh, no.
Yeah.
That's a quiet. That's it. Don't say
Yeah,
that
man.
loud.